Here's the...
This is Marketing Moms. I'm Ann Brennan.
And I'm Anastasia Van Greshby.
And we're here to help you with your marketing. We make marketing easy. That's our goal, is to make marketing easy for you. And today, actually, we're going to talk about the secrets that, kind of the secret benefits of social media marketing. Because a lot of people think they know what social media marketing is, and they don't really. They miss the point. They miss the boat. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to skip Luna today because she's actually been pretty good. She's not been horrible. She hasn't killed anybody or...
Well, she about took me down the other day, though.
Oh, gosh, yeah. She's jumped
She's
a lot.
a jumper. And she's heavier than me.
She's a very big girl. She's a very, very big girl. So I want to remind you to please go and subscribe over at YouTube. It's youtube.com/BrennanAnnie, and subscribing helps us out quite a bit. So go over there and subscribe, or wherever you listen to this. If you're listening to this as a podcast, please go subscribe. It makes a big difference to us, and leave us a review. We love reviews, especially if they're good reviews. If they're bad reviews, keep that to yourself. So I want to remind you also to ask questions, because that's how we learn, and we love to give you the answers to those questions. Sometimes we will do it in a comment on the post, and sometimes we'll do it live, and
or
sometimes
in a blog.
And there's all kinds of you ask us questions, that gives us ideas. And by the way, you stole that from us, right? Mm-hmm. Because if your customers are asking you a question, write a blog about it, do a video about it.
I say that all the time.
Oh,
whenever we do a branding meeting, we've talked about this, we always sit down with our new clients and do a branding meeting with our team so that everybody is on the same page. I always say to them, what do they say when they call you? Like when their phone rings, what is your customer asking you?
Because that's a good blog post. That's something that's really important. So it's really probably also a good way to find out what their pain point is, because if they're asking you that question, they're probably having a pain point.
And that's what they're typing in Google. Like, that's exactly what they're typing.
Exactly. So use it.
Use it.
All right. So we're going to go through this relatively quickly. Some of them will surprise you. Some of them might not. But we're going to talk to you about the things that people don't think about when they think about social media. And the first is making, so there's two. Anastasia, read the banners over there to yourself so that you don't skip ahead. So connect with your customers. It's a great way. If you're on social media, it's, we've talked about doing some behind the scenes things. If you're celebrating a birthday in the office, if you've brought in cookies for the office, if you're having a get together,
or an anniversary for the business.
Yeah, it's a great way to make a human connection with them. So yes, you want to post all kinds of things. You want to post educational things and sales things. You want to post all of those, but you also want to be more human. We talk about that a lot.
All the time.
And that is the reason you want to be more human, is because you're connecting with your customers. So connect with your customers. That's what social media is for. This one, getting to know your customers. It's interesting. I was just going through Plus One's post the other day, and I noticed that I noticed their clientele was different than they might think. And as far as age group goes, the age group was really surprising to me. So you can get to know your customers. What is it that has attracted them to you? How old are they? Where are they coming from? If you find out that if you are a local business, local as in I am 5 miles in radius, right? Like a gym, it's 5 miles in radius, and all of your customers are coming from California, then maybe you need to look at something else on your social media. You need to figure out who your followers are, right? And you need to get more in your area. So you need to change how you're doing that if that's what you find out.
And I think sometimes brands think that they appeal to one age, one demographic, and then when you look at their social media, it's like a totally different demographic that's following. Like you said, it's not a local, it's expanded. So, then you need to check that. Like if you know for sure that the people that are walking through the door are 30 years old and they're men, and then you look at your social media and it's 55-year-old women, if they're not buying it's one thing if they'll buy your product.
Right.
It's a totally different story. If they're
Well,
not going to buy your product, then you need to
fix it. But then the other thing is, quite honestly, you may find that you've got a market you weren't thinking about.
Exactly.
Right? If it's 50-year-old women, maybe they're buying them for their boy toys who are
if
30-year-old.
Yes, if they're buying, it's a different story. I'm saying if they're not buying.
Well, yes, but think about that, Anastasia.
Look at an opportunity.
If they're not buying, maybe it's the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It's that opportunity to buy. So it tells you, you can get to know your customers really, really well by looking at your demographics.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, now because of privacy, we don't have as many points, but there's still a lot there.
I will tell you, man, LinkedIn, that's actually where I was. It was on LinkedIn. Okay. And it was really interesting to see the people who were looking at them, the job titles that they had, that they hold. And it told us a lot about what kind of people are following them. And then, well, how do we attract them? How do we make them buy? Because they are the audience. They're the exact audience we're looking for. So how do we make them buy more, right? Control your brand. The thing is, we say this a lot about personal branding, right? Everybody has a brand.
Everybody.
But not everybody controls it.
No, that's true.
Right. And a lot of small businesses aren't controlling their brand. They're not thinking about what their core values are. They're not thinking about what they stand for. They're not thinking about what makes them different. And they're not showing those things on social media. If you know those things, if you really figure them out about who you are, there's so much you can do on social media to control your brand. You know, we were just, I don't know if you've noticed, because I've been posting some things without you. But I went through and started thinking about some of the things, the adjectives that describe us. And one of them was agility. We move very quickly. So if Facebook makes a change, we're on it. If LinkedIn makes a change, we're on it. We move our clients into new areas all the time without charging them more, actually, most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah.
But it's that agility is huge. So I created a lot of posts about being more agile, right? Because I can control my brand. I can help people see that we have, if they call me and say, hey, I was a plumber and now I'm a roofer. Which we had.
True story.
But they didn't call. We just discovered it on our own. But we can switch very quickly for you, right? And that's a big deal that we can do that.
Definitely.
So that agility. So I can control my brand by putting that out there. So that's one of them. What is this one? Oh, this one you love.
Drive website traffic. Yes, I do love it. I mean, it is you can do that with social media. Posts with links don't do as well as some other posts. I mean, they're still beneficial, so it's not definitely to stop doing it.
Right.
We're always talking about doing it through emails, but you put things in the bio. You can say link in the bio. So then even though the link's not there, it's still gonna, people can go and find you. But you have to make sure, this is where it's like important that everything's up to date, that your settings are correct, that you're testing, you're going on there and looking as a customer, like what are they seeing? Can they click? You can put a little button that says, website on Facebook specifically. You want people to go to your website.
Which, by the way, is where a blog comes in, because yes, most links, if you say here, click here to buy, don't do as well. But if you say learn why, then they actually do pretty well. Your blogs do pretty well when you have a click through. So
this is where all of this.
There's so much to know.
It all comes together.
Exactly. One way you can use social media that a lot of people also don't think about is to find influencers. Find other people who might be interested in what you do, right? So if you see somebody, this is one of the easiest things to do. Oh my God, and people don't do it. We do it a lot. If you see the same person coming back to your social media over and over and over again and leaving comments over and over and over again, this person might be interested in you, right? And if they're interested in you, maybe they'd be willing to start talking about you. Maybe they'd be willing to be a micro influencer for you. So think about that. Use that information. This is something you can do on social media that you can't do from, ads on, on the radio or a billboard on the street, which, by the way, we don't have a lot of billboards in this area.
No, we do not.
Yeah. You can find partners, other people who are doing similar things to you, but not exactly the same, people who might complement your business.
Yeah.
So we work a lot with Baltimore Graphics. They're a great partner for us. So we share a lot of their stuff. They share a lot of our stuff. It's something that we do. And then this one, I am just going to tell you from a business owner standpoint, you need to be on social media because you're going to find so much more information. Industry leaders, we have Chris Brogan. He was actually on Small Business Connections a couple of years back, which was the other podcast we were doing. Ann Hanley, we follow her. We learn so much. So social media gives you that opportunity as well, is to learn more about your industry and how you can do better, right? And actually,
one thing I want to say with influencers is that people often they think of influencers as these young kids that are on, selling products. That's not necessarily what we're talking about. You don't have to have somebody that has 1 million followers. Why? Because that's not your audience. You don't need that. But, I'm going to use a mom because that's all we are. If there's a mom that's local, that likes your business, if you own a baby gym and there's a mom that you see is socially active on social media and has a pretty good following and is active in like these mom groups, because there's a ton of them.
Yes. Which, by the way, we got a client from the other day.
Oh,
that's really funny.
So you can use them as a micro influencer. Let me rephrase that. You can ask them to partner with you, and maybe you give the kid free classes and the mom helps you out. Or,
right.
So if you are using influencers, don't ask them to do it for free.
Right. Yeah, that's not going to work for you for the most part. I mean, there are things like I will tell you when I say a few years ago, time is relative when you get older. But a few years ago, like 10, there was a organization called Daily Mile Online, and they asked me to be an ambassador. And I did that pretty much for free. I got a lot of really cool gear. I still have my jackets and stuff.
No, but that's not free.
It's not free. I get stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on what you just have to be respectful of their, of the time that they're putting into it and of the fact that they've built this following.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm not saying give them a ton, but offer them something.
Right. Exactly. So, improve your customer service. This is such actually, who does a really good job with this? Baltimore Coffee and Tea.
Mm-hmm.
They do a great job with this because, we do it for them. But they answer my questions because the truth is that I don't know the answers to every question. Yeah. And it is so great for them. What happens is somebody messages and says, I want this type of coffee bean, but I can't seem to find it. And we can find out the answer and put that on social media and answer them back. And people love that. They love that response. It makes a huge difference. If we're out there and we're looking for them, if we see somebody saying on their page, I just went to Baltimore Coffee and Tea and I had a horrible experience, then guess what? And by the way, that doesn't happen, but we can respond. And if they say, I had a great experience, we can respond. Mm-hmm. And it's really very, very helpful to the customer service. It makes them look good. And believe it or not, I'm actually really...
mistakes happen though. Mistakes happen in every business. Now, there are some businesses that it's funny. There's a restaurant in Australia that my sister was telling me about, and they are horrible to you. That's their brand.
Okay.
Like they are horrible to you. And my niece was really excited about going. But that is their brand. That's what, if somebody's nice there, I guess that's an accident. So people go there to be yelled at by their staff, by the wait staff, which I can't imagine. But if you go into a coffee shop or a restaurant or whatever, and something's wrong with the service, it could be a bad day for that person. There could be many things that happened. But it's not a reflection of the business. And by being active on social media, and somebody comments like that, it gives you an opportunity to get a hold of it and find out what's going on.
Well, we've talked about this before. We had a local donut shop, and it was really just a pillar of the community, right? Mm-hmm. It was like everybody loved this donut shop. And then they sold it. And they sold it and by the way, I don't think the first people who owned it were on social media. I don't think it was even a part of it, right? But they'd been there forever and everybody loved it. And so nobody was saying anything bad about it. Well, when it sold, they changed the donut recipe. They changed a lot of things. The customer service was bad. And they were getting killed on social media. Everybody was talking about them. unfortunately,
they never did anything about it.
because they didn't know, they weren't paying attention to social media, and ended up having to go. They ended up having to sell it. Like somebody else bought it. I don't know what the situation was, but it was not good.
If you are a business, not only do you have to have social media of your own, you need to make sure you're joining the groups that surround your area.
Absolutely.
So that you can see if somebody else, because this is what was happening in a Facebook group that was for the area. Nobody from that business was in that group, so they had no. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were. I don't know.
But they were not paying attention.
But
whatever the case.
They were just. Some people are like, I don't care what they say. So it could have been that.
Yes. Yeah, and don't be that person. I'm just gonna say, don't you should not be in business. It matters a lot.
It mattered to this business. It mattered a lot.
They
had to sell it.
It was bad. It was really bad, and that was after being here for 15
they closed
years.
it. No, they closed it, and then they sold it.
Yeah, so exactly. It was bad. There was no doubt about it. So social media gives you a chance to really do a good job with your customer service. It's kind of your first and your last opportunity, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm a huge believer in that. I hope you can promote your products, right, in your services. That's really important. A lot of people first of all, people will lump all of their services into one thing. I do automotives. Well, what does that mean? You have a lot of services, so put those out there. Educate people about some of the things you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm thinking back to Challenger, who they moved out of state and they sold their business. They are no longer
a client
because they don't exist. We used to put up oil changes and transmission repairs and
tire rotation.
Yes, I'm trying to think back. It's been a few months since we've done anything for them. So these are the things you have to break down your services. I mean, apart from the fact that it gives you content.
Right. But it gives you, the thing is, you may post exactly what that thing is. Like, honest to God, windshield wiper replacement. How many times have you gotten in the car and went, oh, shoot, I needed windshield wipers.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it yet. And so it might be just the reminder you need. Oh yeah, I'm going to stop by there and get to that. So small things make a huge difference. And then finally, let's talk search engine optimization. The thing is, a lot of times, even if you have a bad website, even if you haven't done any search engine optimization, people will find you if you are at the very least on social media. But please don't have a business and not a website.
And don't have a website that's old.
Yes.
I went to a website yesterday for a place that we took the kids, and it was not, it wasn't mobile friendly. It's obviously very, very old. And for me, it was fine because I knew where I was going. I didn't search it. I was like trying to figure out what the current pricing was. But I'm like, I looked at it and I was like, dang, you guys really need to update this. Like, nobody's going to find you.
Right. Right, exactly.
But especially, and if you're not on social, I mean, social does help you. And that's why we always say you need to be on all the platforms, because it's just more stuff going in with your name and your keywords going into the internet.
Exactly. And you never know where they're going to find you. But I can tell you, if you don't have social media, you're probably not going to be found. It's going to make it much, much harder to be found. Social media is a huge, huge benefit for your SEO.
Yeah. I mean, your people where are they searching? They're searching Google. So we're always talking about making sure all of those things are, and I've mentioned making sure your settings are correct, because if your settings don't have your address, when Google goes looking, they're looking for in your area. That's the first place that gets priority, the people that are within your area.
I have to tell you, I just learned something new, and we do it on all our websites. Mm-hmm. We've done it for a long time just because I think it looks good, and because I think it's effective. But Google ranks you higher if you use the map, if you put a map on your website.
Oh, I'm sure it does, because it's a link back to them, right? So there's that. So we're talking about that. So if your social pages have the correct information as well, that's just it just puts in more, gives you more of an oomph.
Exactly. All right. So that's it. That's what we have for you. I wanted to tell you, it really is. People think of it. I don't know what they think. Mm-hmm. They think, well, first of all, people think social media is a waste. When they think that, I just I just want to bang my head into the table because I am clearly not doing a good enough job reaching everybody in the entire world to tell them how important it is. But it is really important, and there's so many benefits. You connect with your customers, you get to understand who your customers actually are better, you control your brand, you drive website traffic, you can find influencers, partners, and industry leaders, you can improve your customer service, promote your products, and build your SEO. And there's probably some that I just didn't think of because it's that kind of morning. But there's so many reasons to be on social media. If you are not currently on it, consider doing it. If you need help, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and Ann has her class coming up. So
exactly, yeah. So we're doing a class. It's an 8-week marketing intensive. Starts September 12th. It's $999. It's gonna be 1 hour every Monday from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're in California and watching this, then keep in mind that that's gonna be super, super early for you. And then we're gonna have a office hours on Friday that goes from noon until 1. That's where you can come in and say, hey, and you know that homework you gave me on Monday, I don't understand it. Or, hey, I did it. What do you think of this? Is this right? Is there something I can do better? It's really good. I think that office hours is going to be very, very effective for you. But the idea is to take you from how to build long-form content, take that long-form content and repurpose it and create a strategy and then implement that strategy consistently. And consistency is what they're going to hear every single week in that class. Consistency is so important.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and then I want to remind you, go to our blog, asmmdigital.com/blog. There is so much information there. It's actually, I just went back in and looked to see how many things that maybe I need to repost because they're so good. There's so much good information there. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've liked the show, please leave us a review. We could use that. We took a few weeks off during the summer and probably have fallen behind, but it's okay because sometimes you need a break.
Yes. It was a much needed break, but it's fun to be back. So
it is fun. It really is fun. Last week I was like, oh yeah, this was kind of a nice little boost to my day. So yeah, we're back and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.